Good evening and welcome to this Wednesday edition of Feedback. I'm Mark Despotakis. We are back in our normal time slot after last week's show. Tonight it's going to be some fun, some magic, and a lot of good information for you, or so I've been told. It's all coming up tonight on Feedback. And as I said, welcome to Feedback this Wednesday evening. I'm Mark Despotakis. Thank you for joining us. Tonight on the show, some comedy, some magic, and like I said, lots of good information. Some call it infotainment. We're just going to call it good old plain fun. Joining us tonight is Tim Piccirillo. That's correct, right?
Okay. Right, correct.
I mean, I don't even know how to sum up. Motivational speaker, comedian, magician.
Right, all rolled into one.
You do it all.
I do it all.
So, first of all, I mean, how's that all rolled into one? How did you get to
How did I get to that? Well, first of all, it started here, Clarion University. I'm a graduate. I won't tell you the year. We won't go there.
We'll find out. I have the research.
But I got my degree in habilitative science and worked in the human service field for approximately 10 years. And the whole time, now bear in mind, I'd been doing magic professionally since I was 15. And my first paid professional show was at the age of 15 for the local YMCA. Mark, I was paid the enormous sum of $10.
Wow.
But if you would have seen my act, you would have thought I was grossly overpaid. I continued, and I paid a lot of bills in college doing shows around. In fact, I worked in the Clarion area here, doing nursing homes, fraternity parties, opening for rock concerts, things like that. And I got out, and as I said, I worked in the human service field, but all the while I was doing touring in the evenings and on the weekends. And about 1985, I started doing comedy clubs, and it was just constant. I mean, there was a number of times where I'd, leave my job at 5 o'clock and bam, get on the road and do a comedy club a couple hours away, maybe a 9 o'clock show at night. I finally made the break. It was 1992, December 7th.
Oh,
Pearl Harbor Day. And I did a show that night, and I bombed. How appropriate. No, actually, but I went, and I never looked back. And I went into full-time comedy magic back in 1992. It's been almost 9 years. Never looked back. About 6 years ago, and I studied personal development this whole time from about 1987 on. And I found I have, tons of tapes, hundreds of tapes, motivational tapes, inspirational, dozens of books. And I found a common thread that's weaved through all this material. Common thread meaning that there are certain concepts that are just constant, that work. They're proven, things like having positive expectations, commitment, persistence, things like this, just solid motivational techniques for anybody that wants to be successful, any endeavor, these principles would work for. I started incorporating them into my life, and once I did, I said, boy, there's something here, this stuff works. So I said, wow, why? And I'm listening to all these tapes, I'm hearing some speakers, some good, some not so good. And I'm thinking, well, I have the edge with the entertainment, and why don't I start sharing my story with people and talking to them and telling them these principles work and entertain them at the same time. Because around that time, probably in the early 90s, that was when the concept of infotainment or edutainment came into being, where people did not want to see just a speaker that would just spewed out information. They wanted to be entertained. I mean, we're in the MTV generation, short attention spans. So I got into that about 6 years ago, and it's just great. And my jumping off point is my story.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have all that rolled in there, and
Right.
then I think the part that I'm reading, and then I see this, you have Tourette's syndrome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what plays
Yeah.
into this. So, I don't know if I want to say interestingly, but it's a big part of this.
Oh, certainly. That is my jumping off point. It's actually, in the business end of things, it's a good marketing because if you know my story, yes, I have Tourette's. I've had it since I was 5 years. You're just seeing it right there, Mark. As a matter of fact, I've had it since I was 5 years old, and in adolescence, I had a very severe case. We're talking sometimes involuntary jerking, full body movements for up to 20 hours a day, along with self-abusive behaviors like chewing my cheek and not being able to stop that. Tourette syndrome is a neurobiological disorder. It's like a brain thing. It'll give you an idea what it's like, what it is. If I told you to just raise your finger like that and go like that, now wiggle it. Okay, all I had to do was tell you to wiggle your finger. That voice came in to your ear. You processed it. The signal went from your brain down your arm, up your hand, and it said wiggle your finger. You didn't have to look at it. Well, when I go like this or do a symptom of Tourette's, my brain is sending that same signal involuntarily. In other words, the neurotransmitter, the chemicals in my brain are firing to make me do that involuntarily, and I can't stop it. That's what Tourette syndrome is basically about. There are obsessive-compulsive tendencies with it. There are learning disabilities. Thank heavens I never had the learning disabilities because it's a syndrome. There's a lot of things with it. But I had a really tough time. In fact, my last 2 years of high school, I had to be tutored. I had to meet one-on-one. I couldn't even sit still in class because I also had attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, which is very prevalent. We didn't know what that was back then. Nobody really knew. You know, this is in the 70s. And I just kept going. And everything I am, everything I hope to be, I owe to my parents. My mother taught me, you can do anything you want. Just give it your best. Tourette syndrome is something you have. It's not who you are. I learned that. My dad taught me, take it one day at a time, kid, one day at a time. So I just kept going, and somehow I said I want to go to college. Now, it was tough, but it wasn't like school where I'd have to sit still 6 hours a day. As you know, you go to school here, you sit in 1, 2, maybe 3 classes. I could handle that, and I got through. And my jumping off point is basically I tell people my story, and that it's not, the whole message is that you have potential, and it's not what happens to you in life that matters, it's what you do about what happens to you that makes all the difference.
So tell us how does that play into what you kind of hit on a little bit.
Okay.
How is it playing into everything you're saying, like, look at what I've done and look what you can do too? I mean, personally, what was that like for you? I mean, were there times where you just were so frustrated and you were just like, what am I saying? I don't even believe what I'm saying. Have you ever...
Yeah, oh yeah, exactly. There were many times growing up, it's like, why don't I just throw in, why don't I throw in the towel? Why don't I give up? What's the sense? And I could have sat back when I was 18, 19 and said, well, I can't do anything. I can't even function. I can't stop moving for even a few minutes. Why don't I just sit back and collect disability payments? Mm-hmm. Let the government take care of me. I wanted more for my life. And I knew I had this talent. See, it goes back before I discovered the magic. Magic saved my life, basically.
Really?
Yes, magic saved my life. But it started even back beyond that. Now, when I was 3 years old, I loved to sing. From the time I was this big, and by the time I was in 2nd grade, I was told by my music teacher told my mother, he has perfect pitch, he can sing. So I said, wow, this is great, I have a talent. In 4th grade, my mother said, why don't you take guitar lessons? I said, yeah, learn how to play the guitar. So I'm the only kid that could play guitar, and they put me up because I could sing real well. In the 5th grade, they put me up at the spring concerts with the whole choir behind me, a little electric guitar, about this big, child-sized, little amplifier, and I'm singing, and I'm playing my heart out, leading the choir, and I'm getting applause, Mark. It's sympathetic applause, but applause is applause. So I thought, this is great. I'm finally getting positive attention because, bear in mind, because I'm jerking, I'm perceived as different, I'm perceived as weird, and I'm excluded a lot, made fun of, ridiculed, the typical thing that kids that are perceived as different get. It's not right, and it is very cruel, but that's the way kids are. They're very cruel. And I just kept going, and I got this positive attention. That was it. But it was in 9th grade, where I was sitting in typing class and typing away, and my typing teacher, John Lovell, came over, and he said, what's that in your typewriter? And I'm a little scared because I don't believe in myself too much right now, not a lot of self-esteem. He said, what's that in your typewriter? I said, I don't know. And I looked, and I said, I don't see anything in there. I was really worried, He reaches in, nothing in his hand, reaches in, pulls out a $50. wow, magic, magic. Every day he showed me a new trick. He'd show me a new close-up trick, come over, and he saw I took an interest. He finally invited me over to his house to see his 40-minute show in his basement with his girlfriend as his assistant. Had this elaborate show, white doves, rabbits, a trained snake, a trained skunk, defumed skunk. Unbelievable show. The magic bug bit. I was 13, almost 14. By the time I was 15, when I told you I did that show at the YMCA, I knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. I knew what I was going to do. It took another 18 years to fulfill that dream of becoming a full-time professional magician, but I did do it.
So how do you make it through that point of time? You didn't know that 18 years down the line it was going to happen. And I think a lot of people out there have this, I want to do X with my life, but I'm not succeeding now. How am I going to get there? How do you make it through that?
You just do it. If I had to, see, first of all, from a spiritual end, which my spirituality is very important to me. From a spiritual end, I firmly believe things happen when they're supposed to happen. In other words, when I quit my job at that time, that was when I was supposed to go into this business. That was when it was, I said at the time, I said I should have done this 10 years ago, but it wasn't meant to be 10 years prior to that. Okay. On the other hand, from a practical standpoint or from a pragmatic standpoint, I say life is too short. If you have a dream, and I'll say this right in the camera, if you have a dream and you have something you want to do, go for it. Life is way too short. It doesn't wait for you. Just go after it. That's what I had to do. I knew, you said, you never knew 18 years. Yes, I did. From the time I was 15, I knew eventually. I knew eventually I would become a professional magician. The whole time I was working in the human service field, in the mental retardation field, even into working as an executive of an independent living organization, I knew I was not going to stay in that field. I knew I was meant to be an entertainer and ultimately a speaker. I didn't know the speaking end of it at that point, but I did know I was going to be a professional magician one way or the other.
Wow. All right, well, we've talked a lot about you and what you are. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take a break.
Okay.
When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about what you're telling people, the kind of programs you do, and maybe we'll see a little bit of magic over there, I hope.
Okay.
So we're going to take a break. Stay with us. Feedback will continue after this.
That's 226-5555. Fox's Pizza Den is open 7 days a week for your convenience. Phone 226-5555.
Wardrobe for some TV5 news anchors provided by Fashion Bug, located in the Clarion Mall. Whether you're looking for junior trendy, girls, or fashion for women, they have it all, with many different styles. Fashion Bug also offers a wide selection of accessories. Fashion Bug is located in the Clarion Mall, just off of Exit 9 of Interstate 80. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. till 9 p.m., and Sunday from noon till 5.
This portion of the program was made possible through a grant from Clarion Hospital. Clarion Hospital is located off of Exit 9 of Interstate 80. Clarion Hospital offers outpatient services, transitional care, as well as an emergency room open around the clock every day of the year. More than 400 employees and 80 physicians work to serve the community. Call the Clarion Hospital at 226-9500. Clarion Hospital, providing health care to Clarion County and surrounding communities since 1954. Do you want complete coverage of local, state, national, and international news as it happens? Then tune into Clarion's very own TV5 News Live for complete coverage of the Clarion area and our world. TV5 News crews join with crews from the world's news leaders, CNN, to provide complete coverage of the day's events. With advanced satellite capabilities, TV5 News can bring you the latest news as it happens. So tune in every Tuesday and Wednesday night for Clarion's very own TV5 News Live. Welcome back. We've been talking with Tim Piccirillo here, motivational speaker, magician, comedian, and all-around fun guy. So we've been talking about you. Now you do presentations, speaking. What kind of, who are you talking to? You know, what kind of presentations do you do?
Right now, the majority of my time is taken up in the education market. I do a lot of elementary, middle, and high school assembly programs, which is basically the magic and the humor, or comedy, along with motivational messages regarding success. I talk about human potential. The two things that I stress there are that you can be successful and you do have potential whether you know it or not. You know, a lot of people don't think, I can't do this. I say, you can do this if you believe in yourself. And what I do in the elementary schools is try to get the kids, the little ones, to believe in themselves, and I tell them, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else is going to believe in you. I also do teacher in-service programs. I do a 90-minute, sometimes I'll do a 2-hour program. There's 3 messages involved there. One, that number 1, teachers do make a difference. Their jobs are important. Number 2, don't give up on any kid. Because 3 teachers impacted my life in a major way, believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And the third is a common theme throughout all my presentations. It's not what happens to you in life that matters, it's what you do about it that makes the difference. You can choose to react to what happens to you or get proactive and do something. I tend to think proactive is a little more positive.
Right.
So.
Well, and just looking at some of the things you talk about here, you say that one of the things you talk about how you can get whatever you want in life.
I'll show you how. I'm going to give you an idea. I'll illustrate it with a little magic.
Okay.
All right, let me just pull it. Here it is. This is an invisible pack of playing cards. Can you see them okay, Mark?
Yeah, sure.
You can? You're
No.
stranger than I am.
No,
Okay.
no.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to shuffle them up, place them back in the box. Here, take the deck.
Okay.
And would you do me a favor, Mark? Would you just shuffle the cards like I
Okay.
did? You're doing a great job, but you
Okay.
have to take them out of the box first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's good. Okay, that's great.
Now just
Okay, just shuffle them up.
Okay.
That's good. And just, would you pretend you have a regular deck? We're just going to pretend a little bit. Just, would you fan them out so you can see the faces? Don't show them to me.
Okay.
What I want you to do, if you would be so kind, pull one out. Take one out you like. Don't take the ace of spades. That's way too easy. All right, you got it memorized. Show it to the camera so they can see. I
there you
won't
go.
look.
There
Okay,
it
everybody see?
They got
All right,
it.
what I want you to do, Mark, if you would be so kind, turn the deck, keep all the cards face up, and take your card and place it face down in the deck. Just
Okay.
face down.
Okay.
That's great. Now shuffle them up so we don't know where it is, top, middle, bottom. Makes no difference.
Okay.
Right? And just, now you have it shuffled up, it's reversed in the deck. Put them back in the box now.
Okay.
And just toss them to me. Okay, good. Now, Mark, this is a pack of 52 playing cards.
Okay.
No jokers in this deck. We've got one doing the tricks. Now, before I came here today, I turned one of these cards upside down in this deck.
Okay.
Wouldn't it be utterly amazing if the only card that I turned upside down in this deck matched the one that you reversed in your invisible deck? Wouldn't that be amazing?
It would be amazing.
Wouldn't it?
It would be.
Heck, that'd be a miracle, wouldn't it?
Well,
now, I'll tell you what, just say the name of your card.
I had the Queen of Hearts.
Queen of Hearts, no, that's wrong.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, I'm only teasing.
Okay.
All right, we're going to go down through this deck. I feel relatively certain that in this deck there's going to be one card, and one card only reversed in the... And can you see that? There's one card reversed in the entire
Wait,
pack.
they got it on
Can they
camera.
see it right there?
Yeah.
Okay, let's pull it over here. Mark, would you just pull that out? Look at it. What is that card?
Oh, my.
Show it to the camera.
Look at that.
It is the Queen of Hearts.
Queen of Hearts.
Oh, isn't that amazing?
That is amazing, actually. It is amazing.
Now, you're probably wondering, what does that have to do with...
I'm wondering how you did it as well.
It is actually a good magical effect. But what does that have to do with how to get whatever you want in life? Let me take that. Let me ask you this, Mark. To get you to play with a deck of cards, an invisible pack of playing cards, a deck of cards that wasn't even there, what did I do? Does anybody, do you have any idea? It's actually a very simple concept, but people don't think of this. How did I get you to play with a card? I simply...
You asked.
I asked. That's how to get whatever you want. In my seminars, in my workshops, I teach a 6-step process to ask intelligently. And it's very simple. I'll give the steps very quickly.
Okay.
Number 1, ask sincerely. Ask very nicely. Catch more bees with honey than you can with vinegar. Number 2, ask specifically who, what, when, where, why, and put it in positive terms. Ask for what you do want, not what you don't want. All right, that's number 2. Number 3, ask someone who can help you. You're not going to go up to somebody that makes $30,000 a year and say, hey, can you loan me $2 million? Right? Doesn't work that way. So you have to ask somebody that can help you. Number 4, create value for them. You have to give them something in return. I'm a firm believer there's no such thing as a free lunch. If they give you what you want, you owe them. Give them something in return. Create value. Number 5, ask with enthusiasm. Why is that so important? Enthusiasm is important because your beliefs will affect their beliefs. In other words, if you're wired and jazzed and jazzed up about something, people will pay to watch you burn. They will. They will buy into your enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is like laughter in a comedy club. It's contagious. So ask with enthusiasm. The last key is probably the most important, ask until. Ask until you get what you want. Now, you might have to use what we call sensory acuity. And that means paying attention, and if you're not getting what you want, you have to still ask, but you might have to ask a different person. You might have to ask a different organization. You might even have to ask in a different way, but you ask until. Those 6 keys will get you basically whatever you want by asking.
And that's how we did that.
Right.
Some of the other things you're talking about here, this kind of plays into what you said, the power of persistence and commitment. It seems like, those are words that we hear all the time, and they seem to be words.
Right.
Yeah, I think you put some more meaning to them.
Certainly. There is no abiding success without commitment. First of all, once you have a goal or an endeavor that you're going after, you make that, all commitment is basically is a decision. And do you know where decision comes from? The word decision comes from a Greek word called kadir, which means to cut off. And when you're making a decision and committing to a goal, you're cutting off any option to reaching that goal. In other words, there's no option. I'm not going to look back. I'm committing, I'm making this decision, I'm going to reach this goal. But at the same time, persistence plays a part in that goal. In other words, persistence, you don't give up. Because, you're going to run into obstacles. You're going to have many visits from Murphy. Murphy's Law.
Right.
Something can go wrong. Well, and I really firmly don't believe in that, but in many cases, Murphy will visit you. So the key is you're going to run into obstacles. You can either go around them, over top of them, or roll right through them. But you're going to run into obstacles. Anything worth going after, you're going to have problems. But the key is not to give up. It would have been very easy for me to give up and let Tourette syndrome define who I am. This is what I have. It's beaten me. But I didn't. I chose to live life. I chose to let Tourette syndrome be part of me, but it doesn't define me. So persistence is key in anything, in any endeavor. That's probably the most important, once you commit to it, to just go.
Right.
Now, I talk about the foundational key for all success, which is just in line with commitment and persistence. The foundational key for success in any endeavor is the ability to take action. Dreams without action are mere wishes. If you have a goal,
I like that.
That's exactly it. You've got to take massive action.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, okay, we're quickly running out of time, and there's so much stuff I want to talk to you about. Let's get out. If someone wants to book you to come and talk to their school, to students, or even organization, I would presume, how can they go about doing that?
They can either email me at timpic, that's TIMPIC, at penn, PENN.com, or I have a toll-free number. Am I allowed to say it?
Sure.
Toll-free 877-772-7833. You can call me. That's toll-free all over the country. You can check out my website, again, timpic.com, www.timpic.com. I have a website that'll explain what I do. A lot of these programs I have specific brochures on, whatever they want. And most of the things I have, in case some people are, well, how do we know you're good at this? I have a lot of testimonial letters. So I'll be glad to send whatever they need.
And I think if anyone who watched this show today realized that it's certainly something valuable, you have a valuable message.
Well, thank you, Mark.
Well, thank you for coming down. We could do another half hour with you, and maybe we will in the future, because there's, I want to play around with the cards more, I guess, in the future. Once again, thanks for joining us, Tim Piccirillo. So that is it for this evening's show. Thank you all for joining us. Tomorrow night on the program, you are going to see the interview that I had the opportunity to do with new state system of higher education Chancellor Dr. Judy Hampel. She was here at Clarion a few weeks ago. I had the chance to chat with her. Interesting interview. You want to tune in for that tomorrow night at the same time. 7:30 TV5 News Live is coming up next. Stay tuned for that. Have a good week. We'll see you.